Well, I found a woman stronger than anyone I know. She shares my dreams. I hope that someday I'll share her home. I found a love to carry more than just my secrets, to carry love, to carry children of our own.
All right, everybody, we're going to give it a couple more minutes, let people file in. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, welcome, guys. Welcome to our SDIRA Social. Thank you guys for coming out, as always. We got an exciting one today. It's going to be a little bit of a preview. Tom Barry's going to be speaking. He's an old friend of Quest, and so really excited to see his presentation. But first, let's go ahead and start off by spotlighting our vendors. So the first one is going to be Blink Lending. They are our educational sponsor of the year, and so we're going to wait for Gabe to come in. I think he's been still networking outside. But anyways, we've been working with Blink for a while, so it's always a pleasure working with them. Usually Paul's out here. For those of you who don't know, Paul Lemnatos, great guy. So he wasn't able to make it, so good. We've got Gabe coming out here. Hey, there he is. Are they still in there? Oh, that's all. Yep. We're going right over here. There he is.
Hello, guys. How's everyone tonight? Sorry about that. My name is Gabe. I'm with Blink Lending and Investments. So, what? Blink Lending, right? We lend money. We are a traditional, conventional lender. Licensed, bonded, insured. Think USAA, VA, any traditional loan that you can muster up, right? Investment friendly, also primary friendly. We are a private money lender. We sell notes. We do private money loans. We fund the deals inside at closing. At that point, we sell the notes. So we're a traditional lender. We're a private money. We're a conventional lender, and we also we love education. I know that's a big part of what Quest does. Everybody have their Quest Expo tickets? Everybody's registered for Quest Expo? Raise your hands. Registered yet? Not yet. Okay. Well, there's a lot. It's a target-rich environment then. So you guys got to get to Emmett Smith. Who was in? I didn't say anything. I did not say a thing. That is not no. Blink Lending and Investments. We've got a booth out front. Ravi is not in here right now. You guys come see us. We're, anything you want to do, check out our website, blinklending.com. Fully transparent, FAQs over 100. I mean, education out the wazoo, if that's a word. I don't even think it is now. Emmett Smith.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. All right, so next up we have ZT. ZT Wealth's going to be coming out. They're going to say a few words. Guys, you want to step on up?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Javed Iqbal. I'm the Senior Vice President at ZT Corporate. As a boutique PE company, we are focused on only two verticals, healthcare and new car dealerships. Both have high entry barriers, less competition, and offer more profitability for our investors. We will be here, my very bright colleague Azhar and myself, along with Renee. We are going to be here, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. Thank you.
Thank you, Javed. Thank you. I think we do. So for the guy that, whenever you speak to an IRA specialist, we like to consider ourselves the experts when it comes just about any type of investment you can make within your IRA and the rules and regulations surrounding those IRAs. But every once in a while, someone will throw us a curveball, and that's when we call the guy that we feel safe going to, Adam Barr. I'd like to bring him up here.
How's everybody doing? I'm so excited to be here today, just like always. I love coming to Quest events, and I love seeing all you pretty folks. So, hey, thank you. Chris, I appreciate it. So my name is Adam Barr. I'm a local CPA here in the Houston area. I work for a firm, or I'm a partner at a firm called MGA. And I used to work there, now I'm a partner, so that's why I keep saying that. But anyway, so we do a lot of tax compliance and tax planning work for people who need help with that. Like he mentioned, I work a lot with Quest clients on their issues with taxation within their IRA. For example, the UBTI rules are something that people stumble on a lot, and they're like, I didn't even know this existed. And then they call me. So I talk to a lot of folks about that. Primarily, the folks we like to work with are small business owners, people or medium-sized business owners, people who have an operating business or they're a real estate investor and they have lots of activities that we can help, like do some tax advantage planning for. So I'm happy to talk with anybody after the presentation here. You can find me. I'll be around just talking with folks, and it's good to see everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. Thank you. All right, so now for the man of the hour. He's an old friend of Quest. Even before that, he was a successful real estate investor. He's going to be one of the keynote speakers at our Quest Expo. So without further ado, let me bring up Tom Berry.
Thank you. Clicker. All right. There we go. Boom. All right. How's everybody doing tonight? All right. All right. So, building a sound portfolio during turbulent times. That is the title to my keynote for the Quest Expo. Now, if y'all came here, you thought I was going to do the keynote for the Quest Expo tonight, I'm sorry to disappoint you. That would kind of defeat the purpose of the Quest Expo, wouldn't it, if we did all that? So what I'm going to talk about is the thought process and the things that I look at to go into that keynote, because I don't take that lightly. Being asked to speak at an event like that is a huge honor. And I put a lot of hours into research before I'm going to do that keynote. So I wanted to take you behind the scenes and show you some of my thought process. And I'm not going to use the whole time just going through slides. I got like 5 slides to share with you, talking about the process or the thought behind it. And then after that, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. It's because I know a lot of you came here wanting specifics. What should I do next? What's the market going to do? What's housing going to do, right? All these specifics. So I'm just going to open it up to some Q&A after I get through the thought process, and I'm happy to have that dialogue with you. But you may be surprised at some of my answers, but we'll see. We'll get into it from there. So for those of you that don't know me, I've been a full-time entrepreneur / real estate investor for 15 years. I started at the peak of the last market cycle in 2007, and this is all I've done since then. I started in real estate broke because we had lost everything in the crash of '07, and now I'm not. And we'll just leave it at that. The biggest purchase I've made in real estate is the building that you're sitting in. And we did not syndicate this purchase. Me and my business partner just bought it. So, and we were able to do that mostly because of the relationships that we've built in this business right here in this room at Quest. So when he said I'm a huge friend of Quest, I'm a fan of Quest, okay? Not a friend, I hope I am, but I'm a fan of Quest. Because without Quest and the way we were able to do business together, I wouldn't be where I'm at. We used 100% private capital to buy everything we bought up until this purchase. This purchase was the very first one we didn't use all private money for. Is that crazy? Over $20 million in purchases of all private money. Not a bank loan, not a hard money loan, not a loan that wasn't private capital. Without Quest, that wasn't possible. So if you're not building relationships in the room, shame on you, because your net worth equals your network. I still believe that to this day. And at every level in my career, I have had to stretch and find another group of friends. I don't ever walk away from my old friends, right? But I got to add another group of friends, another layer, another level. Because now we're at a point where 200 grand doesn't change anything in our business anymore. I remember when 200 grand would have made or break, you make or break a deal. I'm sitting with my business partner this morning. I promise I'll get to the 6 slides, but some of this is instructive to it. I was sitting with my business partner this morning and I get a text from a buddy of mine. He's like, hey, I need an $8 million loan, but it closes next Monday. Can you cover it? And I called him back after talking to my business partner and consulting, because we've done a lot of big loans this month already. And I'm like, best I can put together for you is 6. Will that help? What a blessing to be in that position, right? To be able to just cough up $6 million in capital to close this guy's deal. It's a 24% LTV deal on a commercial, stabilized shopping center. Hello, how much have we got? Yep, here, you can have it, right? I mean, that's the deal. So that's where you can go with this thing. Using relationships you build at Quest and other places, it's just an amazing business. I do it now because it's fun. I do it now because I'm teaching my kids this stuff. I don't do it because I have to, but I'll do it until it isn't fun. So here we go. So where's the economy headed? That's the big question. How you build a soundproof portfolio in turbulent times. First of all, you know, I've had a couple of assumptions in this. Sound portfolio, that's subjective, right? But turbulent times, that's subjective too. So I think we could all agree without any debate at all, and we all want a sound portfolio. But can we also agree we're in a little bit of turbulent time? Yes, sir. When it comes to, and we're not going to go into the political side. Let's just keep it in the economy side for a minute. Do you believe that today we're in a turbulent time? Okay, hell yeah, that's a good answer. I think that's probably the best one that we could have. See, the reason I asked that question, and I want to make sure that we don't have any misconceptions as we go along, is I believe we're in some very turbulent times, but there are a lot of people out there yet that still don't believe that. Okay? The people that do believe it, we're on the leading edge. We're called the conspiracy theorists, right? Or the naysayers or the negative nannies or whatever you want to call us. But it is not yet mainstream thought that we're in real turbulent times, because it is not even true that today we're in a recession. At least it's not been proven that we are. Because what does it take to prove you're in a recession? 2 negative quarters of GDP growth, and how many have we had? One that we know of. This time next month, we will know if we were sitting here talking in the second of those 2 quarters, right? So we won't really know until early July if we are truly in a recession yet. And if that quarter does come in negative GDP growth, what's going to happen in the media? It's going to be sky is falling, OMG, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to be nonstop, 24/7, doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom. What does that do to an economy? What did you say? It tanks it. Why would just the media saying that tank an economy? Right, because 75% of our GDP is based on what? Consumer consumption. Us going out and buying crap. A lot of which we don't need. Right, Chris? Right? So we go out and buy a lot of stuff as Americans. We have that privilege and that right because of the system we live in. But if the media starts saying the sky is falling, we naturally do what? We pull back on, and what does that create? More recession, and for those of us that are smart, opportunity. Yeah. So I wanted to just kind of set the stage for where this comes from. So where are we heading with the economy? Well, are we headed into a recession? Nobody knows the answer to any of these, by the way. These are rhetorical questions, but they're questions I ask myself constantly. As the CEO of multiple companies, I have to at least make an educated guess on these questions because these drive the decisions I make in my companies, okay? They drive the decisions in what kind of businesses I buy, what kind of real estate I buy, and what kind of loans I'll do. Does that make sense? Different answers will come up with different things. So this is a list of some of the stuff that I am constantly asking myself. Are we headed into a recession? About a year ago, I was asked to speak at a mastermind up in Dallas for a friend of mine who had a room full of people that all had to prove they had $1 million in liquid cash to get in the room. A lot of money people in the room, right? And they asked me if I would speak on a panel, and they entitled it The Great Debate. The great debate topic was, are we headed into a recession, into a recessionary period? My brain just stopped, literally just stopped. Are we headed into inflation, deflation, or stagflation? Okay? That was our 3 choices. So there were 4 people on the panel, and when they asked me to get on, they said, would you do it? And if so, which position are you going to take in the debate? And then we're going to have y'all duke it out on stage. And I said, yes, I'll speak, and I'll take whichever one nobody else wants. So the email comes back and says, huh? What do you mean by you'll take whichever one? I said, honestly, I could make a damn good case for any of the 3. And based on the knowledge that we had at that time a year ago, I could have made a case for any of the 3. Now, in my gut, I believed I knew which one was going to happen, but this stuff is subjective. If anybody tells you they know with certainty, and oh boy, do we have Facebook friends. I got a lot of Facebook friends in the room, and y'all have some of the same ones I do. There are so many people that own crystal balls. It's freaking amazing. I want to know where to buy one of those things because they are just so hell-bent certain that they know what's going to happen next. And I think that that is a fool's errand. And I think you're setting yourself up to be humbled, and in a very painful way. I just believe that. So I don't stand here and tell you I've got some crystal ball or I am so smart that I can see into the future, okay? We are not in a position where we have ever been before economically. Now, we can draw parallels to the '01 recession. We can draw parallels to the '07 recession, but there is none that are exactly like where we're sitting today. And by the way, if the numbers next quarter don't show that we're in recession, it's okay. The next one may. The next one after that may. It is coming. There is no question about that. Even all the people on Wall Street are now in agreement with that. I think they were late to the party. But why were they late to the party? They wanted to make sure. Because when these guys, when Jamie Dimon talks, when these guys on Wall Street talk, people listen. When I talk, it's like, yeah, it was Tom, whatever. These guys talk, they have shareholders, right? They have to be careful what they say. But even they, the ones that have to be really careful, because what they say hits the news and millions of people hear it, even they agree that a recession is coming. So the question is, how do we use it to our advantage? How do we use that to our advantage? Now, I don't want that to sound predatory. I don't want that to sound callous or bloodthirsty. But at the end of the day, economics is pretty simple. Somebody's loss is somebody else's gain, right? It happens every single day, all day on Wall Street. Does it not? Well, it happens on Main Street too. When somebody needs out of a property because they've gotten themselves into a jam and you come to the rescue, but you just happen to, at the same time, get a heck of a good deal on a piece of property, two people won, but one won better, right? One won better. You typically want to be on the buying end of that scenario. So these are some of the things that I'm going to ask. The one that a lot of people don't think about, so let me hit some of them. So why do I ask about that? Well, inflation, deflation, or stagflation is going to tell me whether I want to be in lending or I want to be in physical assets more heavily. I do both, right? So if we are in a heavily inflationary period, do I want to be in lending most or physical assets most? Right. Why? Exactly. Is my loan going to increase in value with inflation? No. In fact, they're paying me back with inflated dollars. They're paying me back less. Even though it's the same amount, it's less in buying power, right? So, and what is stagflation? Who knows what stagflation is? Right. High inflation along with high unemployment. Yeah, that's stagflation. Haven't seen that since the 70s. But is it possible to see this time around? It is possible. In fact, I would argue it may even be a tad over probable. Yeah, but we don't have a crystal ball. Where's price of oil headed and for how long? Why do we care about that? Hint, in the energy corridor of Houston. Right? You think that has anything to do with our real estate prices? You think that has anything to do with the occupancy levels in buildings like this? In this submarket? Yeah, you know what the occupancy level is in this submarket right now for buildings like this? 78%. They're taking a beating. This one is 96%. We're not, because we had very little energy. When we looked at the client list, the tenant mix is called. When we looked at the tenant mix, there was virtually no exposure to oil and gas in this building. Even though the first lender we went to turned us down because we were in the energy corridor and they were afraid of oil and gas. Like, did you look at the tenant mix? We don't even have any oil and gas in there. But it matters, right? The price of oil matters for Houston real estate, not only commercially, but certainly residential as well. What asset classes will benefit and which ones will suffer? For those of you that don't understand, what I'm asking here is I'm asking myself, what asset class, meaning, is self-storage going to do well or is self-storage going to suffer? Is apartment complex going to do well or is apartment complex going to suffer? That's what I mean by asset class. Each of these commercial categories are a different asset class. A lot of them will do well in a bad time. A lot of them do poorly in a bad time. You want to position yourself where something will do well. An asset class we just went into this year, based on my analysis of where we are in the market, we bought a meat processing plant. Do you think that will do good in a bad time or bad in a bad time? Do well. Yes. It will actually do well in any time, but particularly in a bad time. Yeah, especially in an inflationary time. Because what does a meat processing plant do? Ranchers bring in cattle in one door and they take boxes of beef home out of the other, which means they bypass Kroger. Will that do well in an inflationary period where food is going through the roof? Yeah, they'd rather just go out in the field instead of going to Kroger. Yeah, and we're giving them the opportunity to do that, where they don't have that opportunity now. So that's what markets will do well, which ones won't. Example, I had a really good deal based on the numbers to buy a small little office building about half this size in a market that, man, the building looked great, the numbers looked great, cap rate was off the charts. It didn't need any work, a little exterior paint, stuff like that. Nothing major. But when I dug in and started doing the demographic research for the market, I found out that that population has been dropping by about 12% per decade for the last 3 decades. Is that a place I want to buy an office building? No, don't want to buy there. It's a declining market. No, thank you. We'll move on. Now, we have another shopping center under contract. That population has been raising by about 12% per decade. That's the kind of market that I want to be in, right? So these are the types of questions that I think, and some of you sitting there going, yeah, you're talking about all this commercial real estate. I'm only talking about that because that's what I do now. But honestly, if I were standing up here and all I did was single family flips, I'd be going through the same questions. If all I did was whatever you could be doing in here, lending. Lord knows, if you're doing private lending out of your IRAs, you need to be going through these, no doubt. Which strategies will be in favor, which ones will falter? In real estate, that's simply, is flipping going to be the thing? Is wholesaling going to be the thing? Is buy and hold rentals going to be the thing? What's going to be the thing that does well in this next market? I'll give you an example of that. Melissa and I started in 2007. We bought our first flip in April 2008. Perfect time to get into flipping, right? No. As we were doing the rehab, we physically did the first 22 rehabs ourselves. We didn't have a team to go in and do them yet. But as we were doing the rehab on that house on Bullfinch Street, I would go home every week and recomp it, and I was watching it fall weekly. Okay? Not a good feeling on your first flip. After we sold Bullfinch for $30,000 less than we had planned to sell it for when we bought it, still eked out about a $10,000 profit, right? We said, guess what? We're not a flipping company. We're a buy and hold company, right? We pivoted based on which strategy was doing well at the time. Now, was flipping doing well prior to that? Absolutely. People were making a killing flipping. There were shows on TV all Saturday, all day Saturday, right? But in the real world, it was going the wrong direction. So any portfolio needs to be diversified, but with what mix? And these are the questions that I use to get into it. And in the keynote, I'm going to get into specifics of some of those things. So real estate. Another thing that I wanted to leave with you today is the term real estate means so many things. In the world of alternative investments, it encompasses pretty much everything real estate related. Most people, when they think about real estate, they just think about single-family homes close to them, right? Single-family homes in my neighborhood, that's real estate. I could buy one of those, I'd be in real estate. But real estate encompasses so many things. It encompasses ranches. It encompasses oil and gas. It encompasses sand and gravel pits. I mean, I could go on with examples of making money in real estate and know people that are doing all of these things. I got a buddy in Wisconsin that owns 3 or 4 sand and gravel pits. I'm like, that's cool. I don't own any of those. How's that work? It's like, pretty good. We sell rock. You know, we make a lot of money selling rocks. I'm like, damn. I always like the idea of mobile home parks because I figure you're renting dirt. I like the idea of renting dirt, right? But he's selling rock. I'm like, shoot, I don't know which one's better. There's tens of thousands of examples of real estate, quote unquote, deals that you can do with your IRA, and they're all available to you. The question is, do you have a broad enough thought process? Have you broadened your mind enough to look at things that are outside of your current purview? Because most people don't. They've got these blinders on, right? Where, oh, real estate is a house. Well, if I could either buy the house and flip the house, I could buy the house and rent the house, or I could let Philip buy the house and I'll just lend him the money. That is most people's extent of what they understand about what's available to them in their IRA. And it's not, obviously. So what's most likely to happen next? I get this question a lot. I think by the time we get to the Quest Expo, I'll be able to have a lot more concrete because we will have more data in at that point. And I think it's really important for us to see those July numbers. Because right now we still have mixed numbers coming in. We got numbers that say, man, the labor market is phenomenal. And you've heard Chairman Powell say that, right? Oh, it's not guaranteed that we're heading into the recession because, look, the labor force is fine. Everybody's working. Then you got CPI numbers that say, oh, yeah, but inflation's 8%. And then if you look at shadow stats, they've got inflation pegged at around 17%, right? So we've got all these mixed signals right now. When things are really going to take off one way or the other is when we have consensus. And when we have consensus, you want to already be there. Because when you wait for consensus, you miss the boat. Does that make sense to you? I always want to be ahead of consensus, even if I'm off a little. I have been predicting certain things to happen, and I was 2 years early. But it put me in a very cautious, conservative position for 2 years. And did I lose out on a little potential income? Yes, I did. Guarantee you I did. I could have been more aggressive, but I'll always err on the side of conservative when I manage $100 million of other people's money, in addition to my own and my business partners, right? So think about that too when whether you're in the room lending money, or you're in the room buying stuff in your IRA, or you're in the room trying to raise money, and I know all three are in here, especially for you raising. You really need to look at this stuff, study this stuff, and don't just go to talks where somebody's going to tell you what they think. You need to learn to do it on your own, on a constant basis, so that you're managing other people's money in the proper way. Because if you lose people's money one time, you're probably done, right? I know several that have lost people's money, and they have a hard time. They have a hard time ever getting back in the game after that. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. If you do lose money, and if you're in real estate long enough, you will. Ask me how I know. Over a couple of whiskeys or beers, I'll be happy to tell you all the sad stories, right? Because I have them, and I am man enough to stand up here and tell you I have lost money on single-family deals and I have lost money on commercial deals. But no other person has ever lost money on a deal I've been involved in. If I lose money, I lose the money, not a lender, not an investor. And if you have that mindset, you can have a bad deal and you can still survive. You can have a bad deal and still get to do another one. because thankfully I was able to. Okay, so nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. I've said that 4 times. I might say it one more time before we're done here so that you understand. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying I know what's going to happen. Here's what I look at. What are the 3 most likely scenarios? And that's what I build my plan and my companies on. What are the 3 most likely scenarios? What this does is it allows me not to get honed in or shoehorned into one position. If I get shoehorned into one position and I bet everything on that one position and I'm wrong, where am I at? I'm screwed, right? And so is everybody else that's with me. So I look at what's the 3 most likely scenarios and where do I need to be to get ahead of those scenarios. So go back to the first slide and all those questions I asked. Out of all those questions, I put together what I think the 3 most likely scenarios are, and then I go to my business partner and I say, what do you think the 3 most likely scenarios are? And then we sit down and we go through those. And we figure out where we think things are going, and we'll put them in categories 1, 2, and 3. 1, we think is the most likely scenario. That's the one we're going to bet heaviest on. 2 is next, and 3 would be next after that. It is beautiful when those scenarios align and put us the same place. Then we don't have to much talk about it, right? If they don't, and sometimes they don't, then you got to figure out what percentage do I go this way with and what percentage do I go that way with. Don't box yourself in. Don't be the guy that wants to tell everybody he's got a crystal ball. Okay? And I would say this too, at this point in the market, don't swing for the fences. If it looks like the greatest deal that's ever existed on earth, I'd probably run from that one. Because there's some gotcha somewhere, all right? And this just isn't the time. Here's why. If prices do fall, it's hard to catch a falling knife, is it not? Can it be done? Yes. But can you also get yourself cut? Absolutely. When it's nothing but rising market for 12 years, everybody in Houston looks like a genius. They're driving Lamborghinis, and no offense if you got one. I'm just saying, you know, they're on Facebook. Look at me, I'm all that, right, in front of all the cars and, you know, the watches and all of that. But in a rising market where it's been going up since 2009, everybody can look like a genius, okay? I have lots of friends that have screwed up and then laughed about it later and said, I am so glad I screwed up, and had to redo all that tile because it was worth so much more when we got it done the second time, right? How many of you have heard stories like that or had some yourselves? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay, 9. Yeah, thank you for being honest. You can't do that shit. You can't do that stuff in a declining market. It don't work in a declining market. It don't. Okay? That's when you got to tuck tail and go to your lender, or you got to tuck tail and go to your investors, or you got to go to your spouse, you know, wherever that money came from, you're going to have to pay the piper, right? So that's why I say don't swing for the fences. Just me. Conservative. I'm very conservative when things are not clear to me. And they're not clear right now. All right? Concrete plan of action. I look at every investment as if it could go sideways. Every investment we are scrutinizing more than we've ever scrutinized them. Doesn't matter whether it's a property that we're looking to purchase, a business that we're looking to purchase, or a loan that we're looking to do, you know, we're looking at it as if it's going sideways at some point. So if it does, how are you going to get it back on track? If you ask yourself that question before you ever put it under contract, what it makes you do is it forces you to look at all the places the thing could go wrong, because you can't come up with how am I going to get it on track until you can come up with how many ways could it screw up, right? That's really what you're asking yourself. How many ways could this thing go bad? We are all entrepreneurs in this room. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. And we all have one thing in common. As entrepreneurs, we are the eternal optimists. It's one of the key ingredients to being an entrepreneur. If you're not an optimist, you'll have a tough time, right? Because we have to believe that it's going to turn out well, or we wouldn't do what we do. We wouldn't take the risks we take. We wouldn't come to classes and learn like we do. But this isn't the time to look at everything from the most optimistic possible view and assume that that's the way it's going to go. Okay? That doesn't mean be a negative Nancy and don't do deals either. I'm not saying that, and I'm not doing that. But give it a little extra look. Be conservative with your numbers, especially sales and rents. Here's why. Example. If real estate markets do dip a little and go down, we may not get the numbers like me on Bullfinch. When I bought that house, I knew I was going to sell it for $140. I knew I was. Here's the comps. Going to sell that for $140,000. We ended up selling it for $110 or something. 108, whatever it was, right? Wasn't $140 by the time we got it done and sold. So be really conservative, and rents as well. I can remember when we had a single family portfolio put together, we had to drop rents during the Great Recession to fill all of our houses. Now, a lot of you weren't doing this at that time, but I can tell you, we had to drop rents. Now, not a lot. Thank God we lived in Texas. And thank God we were in the Houston Metroplex, because we did not suffer like many of my friends across the country did. Okay? But even us, here in Texas, we still had to drop rents some to fill our houses. So just be conservative. Don't be overly aggressive when you're putting them together. If lending, assume you will have to foreclose on the property. By the way, you should be doing this on every loan anyway. We look at every single loan as if we were going to have to foreclose on it. We don't want to, because we are not in that business. I don't want to. Trust me, it costs too much. Depending on what state, it costs a lot. But we have to assume, if we're a lender on a property, that we're going to have to foreclose on it. And when you assume that, if that excites you, if you go, hey, you know what? If it happens, it happens. I'm not going to set them up for failure, but dang, if I can buy that house for that, just by lending on it, and they don't do what they're supposed to do, so be it. Then do the loan. If it scares you, don't do the loan. If owning the property scares you, don't do the loan. Okay? When investing in funds and syndications, my advice at this point is work with somebody that has full market cycle experience. The last 10 years have made everybody look like a rock star. If you couldn't make money in the last 10 years, you're really in trouble, because it's been pretty easy, okay? They say a blind squirrel even finds an acorn once in a while. I invest in funds outside of my own. We are not fully involved in just our funds. I believe in our funds, and we have a bunch of money in them. But I have friends that have funds, and I believe in their funds too. And I believe in their strategy, and we invest in them. But one of our criteria that I give my assistant is when a proposal or a PPM comes in, she actually does all the research for me, and she has a check sheet, and she just sends me the worksheet. So I don't have to read the 86-page PPM, right? She sends it to me, and boom. One of the things on it is, do they have full market cycle experience in this strategy? That is a key. In this strategy. A lot of people can stand there and say, oh yeah, I've been around, since such and such. Well, what does being around actually mean, right? I'd like clarification on that, Philip. You say you've been around since 06. Well, what does that mean, And you got to dig a little. Have they been doing what they're doing now in a full market cycle? And have they been managing other people's money for a full market cycle? Those are some very key questions that we ask, and I think you should too when you're investing your IRA or otherwise. With that, I'd say since we really don't know what's going to happen right now, we got to be ready for anything. So I'm going with stuff that I call recession resistant. Recession resistant. What does that look like? Blue-collar housing. I'm not buying houses right now, but if I were, I'd be doing blue-collar stuff in lower price point neighborhoods. Those typically suffer least in a recession. Would you agree, Chris? We came in the same time, right? Those are going to suffer least. You know, $800,000 homes. Nobody needs an $800,000 home. Okay, a lot of people want an $800,000 home, but in a recession, we have to differentiate between want and need, don't we? And a lot of people will be differentiating, and they'll be moving from those $800,000 homes, and they'll be moving down. People move down, down, down the chain in a recession, and that's what I think we'll see. So if you're, you know, in this particular market, the Houston metro area, if you're under 500,000, I think you're as insulated as you can be in a single-family market, right? The other beautiful thing about the lower-priced homes is they ain't making them no more. They ain't making them no more. Any builders out there building $200,000 homes anymore, or $180,000 homes anymore? No. No, they can't make any money doing that. So again, there's a barrier to entry for competition for your product if you're in that price point. So in the single family space, that's where I would focus if I were buying single family homes. If I was buying commercial, I would be buying one of two things. I would be buying really dirt cheap reposition properties, things that I can just steal for 10 cents on the dollar, 20 cents on the dollar, and that stuff is out there. Right now, we are lending on millions of dollars of that type of product. Or I would be buying stabilized stuff from motivated sellers in stable and growing tertiary markets. And that perfectly describes the shopping center we have under contract. It's stabilized, meaning it's 100% occupied. Doesn't have to be stabilized, but that one is. And it's in a market, again, barrier to entry. There's very few shopping centers in this little town. It's a tertiary market. It's not even a secondary market. But it's growing, it's thriving, and there's a barrier to entry for people to come in and build another shopping center to compete with ours. That makes it, in my opinion, more recession resistant. And the rents on it are extremely low, way lower than market. So it gives us an upside opportunity when those leases renew. We can raise those rents and bump them up through time, and hopefully realize even more appreciation than what inflation is going to give us. Okay? I think I've hit all of that. Let's get to the good stuff, like Q&A. I know you guys have questions that you want to ask. And again, I didn't want to give you the entire talk from Quest, but I've left enough time that I'm happy to take some questions. And if you got some specifics, I'll either answer them, or I'll say, hey, that's in the Quest presentation, or I'll say, I don't know, okay? So you were first hand up, sir.
What are some emerging markets regarding real estate that you see that are on the horizon, or even not even here now, like for the next 5 or 10 years? Those that are here now.
Yeah, so his question, I'm saying this for the camera, was what are some of the emerging markets that I see that are coming up that maybe are not where they're going to be now? I don't really look at things that way. That takes an enormous amount of research that I, quite honestly, am not capable of doing myself because I don't have that long of attention span, and I have not hired analysts to do for me. Maybe we'll get to that point someday, but we're just not big enough that I explore that. I look for what's here now. I don't try to get out ahead of markets. Now, I try to get ahead of market cycles, which is what this whole talk is about. But I don't try to get out in, let's say, get to Albuquerque before Albuquerque is known by everybody, right? I can tell you some of the hot ones that have hit over the last few years, but that does not answer your question. Great question, though. Oh, industries. Okay. Again, a lot of research has to go into that. For me, I have focused on 3 things. I have focused on real estate as I described it, the two types of commercial real estate I described. And then we are also focused on agriculture, food, and consumables. Those are the three in addition to real estate. So if we're looking at a business, our buy box is it has to be food or agriculture related or consumables related. If it's not, we don't even look at it. If it's, you know, we looked at a tractor dealership. Does that qualify? Yeah, agriculture, right. Would I look at something that was outside of those three? No. You know, would I look at a muffler shop? No, I wouldn't, because it doesn't fit those three. Does that mean a muffler shop's bad? No, it doesn't mean that at all. Somebody had mentioned an auto shop. That's why it popped in my head. Doesn't mean an auto shop is bad. That's probably a recession-proof thing too, now that you've mentioned it. I mean, you need your car fixed regardless, right? Whatever's going on in the economy. So I would say that would be a good one. But I'm looking for things that will do well in a bad economy or a good economy. And those are some of them that we've come up with. The beauty of this is, I mean, it's endless. We could make a list of so many possibilities, but to be successful, we only need to pick 2 or 3 of anything, right? And I think if we pick more than that, we lose focus and we can't really excel. So I like to just stick with a few things, research the heck out of it, know it inside and out, and then when a deal is presented, I can quickly determine whether it's a real deal or whether it's just smokescreen. Hopefully that helps. Chris?
2 questions. First one is,
You only get one.
when are you going to buy a helicopter?
I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. My old GMC out there, it's fine. It gets me around just fine.
The real question is, do you think that the Fed will reverse course when things start to stink and go back to their old ways, the QE and the low rates?
Oh, I like that question. Now you're getting me going here. So his question was, do I think that the Fed will reverse course, meaning that they will either stop raising rates or start lowering rates again, right? That would be a real reversal when things start to stink, as he put it. So what is the Fed's mandate? What do they have to do? Full unemployment is first mandate, and keep inflation at around 2%. So when things start to stink, right, meaning when we hit a recession and layoffs start happening, actually, those have already started. Do y'all watch the news? I mean, if you watch the news, you have to know all this stuff is already starting, right? Apple has dumped how many people? Facebook, how many? Well, Meta, how many people? All these people, all these big corporations that have analysts that sit in windowless rooms, I assume, right? Because they are on their computer keyboards all day, every day. I just assume there's these guys on a low computer keyboard in some cubicle some way. But they have high-paid analysts that do this stuff for a living for them and give them data on a silver platter that they make decisions off of. I don't have all those analysts. I am the analyst for us, right? And they are already doing the layoffs. They're already signaling to their employees. Elon Musk just signaled, right? The other day, he was sending out a little test message to let everybody know, hey, your head's on the block. By the way, you better be in office by the end of the month, or yours was probably the first one to go. Okay, he was killing 2 birds with 1 stone with that particular tweet, which I thought was brilliant, which doesn't surprise me out of the guy. You don't become the world's richest man by being an idiot. Probably. I just assume. So, to get to your question, no, I don't think they can reverse course until they get inflation under control. And if you really want to ask my opinion, I know nobody asked, but I'm going to tell it anyway. I think the Fed was way too late at starting and way too slow at how much they started with. Now, that's an opinion. Don't have a crystal ball. I cannot prove that fact. That is only my instinct, okay? So Do I think that they will reverse course? Quite the opposite. I think they will accelerate. I think they must accelerate. That's just an opinion. I'll keep telling you that. You had a question, Bruce?
Yeah. Do you think that you're going to see, or we're going to see interest rates like we did in the late 70s, early 80s?
Not an answerable question, my friend. His question was, do you think we will see rates that we saw back in the 70s and 80s? What he is referring to, for those of you in the generation behind me and further, is... Right, not as long in the tooth as us, not as much gray in the goatee, is that in the late 70s and early 80s, it was not unheard of to have interest rates on home mortgages of 16 and 18%. Okay, you can Google that. It's true. So his question is, do I think we will get to there? That would require me to, again, be psychic or have a crystal ball. I don't know, and I'm not going to stand up here and say where rates will top out at. It really depends on what the Fed does from here. It really depends on a lot of things. That one, I think, is primary to it. It depends on the psyche of the American public and how badly they pull back when they realize what is happening. Because right now, we haven't seen the pullback. We're seeing inflation, right? If you haven't seen it, visit it at your local gas pump on the way home, all right? It is there. It will greet you, right? Or go to grocery shopping. And the other day, my wife, at our ranch, there's just a tiny little store like 10 miles away. It's not a Kroger, it's a little store, right? And she paid $10 a pound for ground beef to make tacos. A 2-pound pack for $20. And I've got 40 Longhorn just grazing out there eating grass. I'm like, what the heck? Got to get that plant done, right? Tired of this crap. So inflation is crazy. People know it, they see it, but they have not reacted to it. Consumer spending is still strong. It did slightly come down some in durables last month, which could be a telltale sign. But again, we need to see a couple of months in a row of anything before we can jump to a conclusion. Would you agree? But durables, that is machinery, tractors, cars, trucks, washers, dryers, that kind of stuff did fall pretty good last month. So we'll see what it does going forward. But the thing for me, is travel is still through the roof. Travel is still through the roof. And I don't think that is a function of the economy or the sentiment in the country on where the economy is. I think it's you government people cooped me up for 2 damn years. I'm traveling. Exactly. I don't care. I will run up my credit card. I'm traveling, damn it. Right? That's what I think the travel thing is a function of, although a lot of economists are looking at that and using that as evidence that everything's still fine. I don't buy that. I think it's something different. But again, now we're in opinion. We're not in fact. Facts were on the board. All this is just opinion. I got time for one more question. You were the first one.
Your opinion on construction.
My opinion on construction.
Where do you see it in the next couple, 3 years?
Well, next couple 3 years, not even going to go there, okay? I think we would be lucky to be able to figure out what we think is going to happen in the next 6 months, not 3 years. And I think if you're trying to forecast past a year, that's a fool's errand in pretty much any market, right? So unless you have that room full of analysts that I talked about, let's focus on 12 months, okay? So what is my opinion on construction in 12 months? I will take that question. Single family, lower cost point, price point. I could make an argument for it because demand is still strong and supply is ridiculously low. I could also make an argument against it because interest rates are rising. I believe a recession is coming, and you could get caught with your drawers down. I could argue that one either. I could be on a panel and argue that one either way, just like the stagflation a year ago. Okay? So what I would say is if you're doing it with a lot of leverage, meaning you need a lot of other people's money to do it, I'd say this is not the good timing to do it because there's too much opportunity for downside. But if you're doing it with all cash and you want to do it on your own, I think you got nothing to lose. And you may be one of the only guys in the market, and you may clean up. Okay? That would be my advice on it. Guys, she's given me the... No? One more? All right. Okay. He was the first one.
What's your opinion on the population increase in Texas?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. What is my opinion on the population increase in Texas? We'll be number 1 or number 2 for the foreseeable future in population increase in actual raw numbers. Now, percentage, I know Idaho is beating us and so is Utah, but in actual number, I mean, it's hard to beat it when they've got like 12 people they started with and they get 12 more. That's 100% increase, right? Okay, hard to beat that. But in actual raw increase, we're going to be number 1 or number 2 for the foreseeable future, and the only one that's going to be close to us is DeSantis land in Florida, because we are both very pro-business states. We are both very pro-business states. Listen to that again. I invest in pro-business states. We have identified 22 states that we'll buy real estate in, the same 22 states that we will lend in. We will not lend or buy in the others. We stay where we are welcome, and we are welcome where there is not a bunch of government regulation and BS to have to jump through to make a living. So, am I the only entrepreneur you think in the world that thinks that way? How many entrepreneurs have moved out of the great state of California and moved to Texas? Well, very few of them have actually moved to Texas. Most of them have moved to Austin. Wah, wah. Ryan, you had a question. I am familiar with Crystal Beach. I don't have enough data to be able to support or shoot down an idea that specific. I do know there's a huge development going on out there. I'm sure you're aware of that. But I don't study that area out on the peninsula enough to be able to be knowledgeable at all. Yes, Chris?
What do you see for
Gotcha.
foreseeable tenant laws when it comes to
Oh, that's a good one.
class complexes or single-family homes?
Yeah.
Same tenant base, so
Yeah. So his question is, where do I see landlord-tenant laws in residential real estate, whether it be lower-end houses or CB apartment complexes, C-class or B-class apartment complexes? All right, I said I wasn't going to get political, but now you've drawn me into it with your carefully worded question. If COVID taught us anything as entrepreneurs, it taught us, in my humble opinion, that property rights are no longer a thing in the United States. Thank you, sir. When a government entity, not even elected at that in some cases, can tell you, Mario, I know you got a tenant in your house and I know they're not paying you, but tough shit. You have to continue to house them. You cannot harass them. You cannot evict them. Oh, yeah, you still have to pay all your bills. Yeah. But you cannot collect from them. We lost property rights. And it's not just with landlord-tenant laws, whoever gave me that question. It was Chris. it's not just landlord-tenant laws, it's the same thing with foreclosure laws. We were told the same thing on the lending side. Tom, I know you lent Adam 100 grand for that flip, and I know Adam ain't paying you. It's not true. He was. But you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. So what I chose to do, at least on the landlord-tenant side, is we have started to eliminate all single-family homes from our portfolio. I will not work under that. I will not do business under those rules. There's new rules now. You don't own your property. Government can tell you when you can collect and when you cannot collect. You do not own your property anymore, and I don't want to play under those rules. I'm going to take my chips off that table and move to another table, and praise the Lord, I am in a position that I can do that. But that's just my opinion. You drew me into it, smartass. Yes, sir. More people in Texas means more power interruption, he said. And that, yeah, that's a whole different question. You know, we put EV chargers out here for those people that want to buy electric vehicles. That was one of the first things we did when we bought the building, was put a couple of EV chargers out here. We have some tenants that wanted to buy them. And so I am not opposed to electric vehicles, okay? I don't want you to take it that way when I say what I'm about to say. But ERCOT can't even keep our dang lights on now, and the federal government wants us all driving Teslas. How are we going to keep the lights on? So your question was, is there any opportunity? I'm sure there is, but I don't know what it is. And I'm smart enough to know I'm dumb enough not to know what that is, right? Thank you guys very much. I hope you got a little bit of something out of that. And I really hope, thank you. I really hope if you felt that that was valuable information that you will come to the Quest Expo and hear the keynote that I'm doing on the topic of building a sound portfolio in a turbulent time.
Let's give it up one more time for Tom Berry. Guys, did you enjoy this event? Yeah? I'm so glad. So, you enjoyed this event? We have them first Tuesday of every month if this is your first time being here. So, the next one, oh, there we go. Questions? The next one is a little bit different. So, as you know, some of you are here for the deal pitching that we do after the event. So we will have that. Before we get started, I wanted to just a couple of quick announcements. One, our next social is actually going to be all about deal pitching. So we're going to have them completely in person. Everybody's to come up to the podium, speak a little bit about any of the services they have, any of the deals that they have. Again, being considerate with everybody else in the room. We're going to enjoy some barbecue and a lot of just networking. So it's going to be really cool. Typically, it's the first Tuesday of every month. Because the first Tuesday of July is July 5th, no one's going to be in town for that. We are moving it to July 26th, same time, same place. So you'll receive an email afterward as well to be invited to our Sizzling Deals networking deal pitching event. So I hope to see you guys there. Bring your deals and bring your friends. Actually, yes, the next one will be a week later, and then we'll back on schedule. Back to back. So we're going to quickly just talk about the expo real quick. Zach, when, didn't we have an early bird expo kind of thing happening lately?
We did. In fact, it was originally going to be ending at the end of May.
End of May, yes.
But thankfully, we've gotten it extended to June 15th. Guys, this is like I said, we're extending it, that early bird pricing, over to June 15th. So there's really not much of a better value we can offer you as a company.
I will let you know on a marketing standpoint, I am in the marketing department. We are not having a better deal than this. This is not Oh, yeah. So our early bird pricing right now is $175 for general admission and $299 for our VIP. VIP gets you lunch every day. You get, luncheon with the speakers and the keynote speakers and the panelists and the sponsors. You get preferred seating. You get casino night tickets for free and all that jazz. So pretty good deal. We know we've done a couple of expos the last couple of years. This one is going to be bigger and better than any of them. We are expecting about 1,000 attendees, having it at the Westin Galleria, September 23rd through 25th. We currently have about 27 speakers confirmed, 56 vendors. And again, we're expecting 1,000 people, so hope to see you guys there. Here are a couple of speakers that we have confirmed already. Obviously, we have Tom Berry, one of our diamond sponsors. You'll be seeing his full presentation there. Ryan Gibson, Troy Ecker, Jim Ingersoll, a lot of big names, a couple of IRA lawyers as well. Everybody, I'm sure, has heard of John Heyer and Jeff Watson. They are a fan favorite at our expos. But we also have a lot more speakers there, right, Dak?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And I know, guys, that 175 seems like a lot, but I promise you, it is worth the value, right? Just look around you. Even in this room right now, we have Tom Berry, who's going to be there. Adam Barr is one of our keynote speakers. We have Steve Vahil out there. I think he stepped out for a second, but he's going to be another keynote speaker. And then as well, Blink Lending, Paul Lamnatos is going to be out there. So these aren't just some motivational speakers that we're bringing in to get the crowd all excited so that we can put on a show. These are people who are in the industry. You have them all in the same room for $175. I mean, I beg you to find a better value. I really do. There's not going to be much better that we can offer.
Who was here at the last expo? Susan. Oh, has no one here been at the expo? No?
Oh, man.
Ivy, can you play the highlight video real fast? Guys, just to show you what it is. We're not just talking just to talk. Yeah, you were both.
That's right.
Real quick video, just for you to see what you expect there.
You don't need a lot of money. The way to get rich is not working hard. It's taking the little bit of money that you have and learning how to leverage it and grow it tax-free. Everybody's got to start somewhere. There's a lot of money to be made in real estate, notes, commercial properties, from all different types of angles. Everybody's looking for something that's different. That's the whole idea of why Expo works. It's covering each other's haves, wants, and needs and creating win-win scenarios.
Been a real estate investor for 9 years in the single-family space. My primary focus now is into multifamily.
It's my first time in a real estate event. I am very excited and I have absolutely no experience. I'm just here to make some connections and try to find investors who I can help.
Missed out on the Dallas Expo last year, so I wanted to make sure I made the Houston one. The whole reason I'm here is to get some more exposure, but also build contacts.
We're here to learn more about note investing as well as private money raising. And then, of course, I wanted to do some networking as well in between.
Education, education, education. There's always more to learn. I definitely picked up some really good information here.
How I can save money on each deal with new tax laws, new loopholes.
I've always thought we were really isolated because we're in a small area up in North Texas. The people I've met here are from our area and have been investing in years, and what they've done, it's really opened my eyes to what possibilities we have in the future as far as our investing.
I mean, casino night is always a great time, and the networking will be phenomenal. We'll get to meet a lot of new people.
See new friends and hang
we
out
might throw the dice at a time or two, you know?
It's not just the level of the speakers, it's the level of the people who are coming.
Coming to this expo is such a wonderful learning experience. There are hundreds of other real estate investors to network with and to learn from. The education, such a wide variety in any type of real estate investing that you're interested in. You're going to learn it here.
All right. So I'm not sure much more I can say other than that. I attended both, working it and attended. I really liked it. But yeah, we have a plethora of keynotes, panelists, or panels. That was one heavy thing that everybody really requested.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And so all the speakers here, the best part of this, no one's selling a product. We in fact don't allow it. everyone up there is strictly for education and networking. That's it.
I review all of the PowerPoints. I make sure of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we're going to go over private money lending. We're going to talk about what it looks like to invest into syndications. But keep in mind, this is not just geared towards IRAs. Obviously, Quest Trust Company, we're a retirement custodian, but this is for alternative assets as a whole. All right. We're even going to go over things like we have a panel that's going over inflation and the role that alternative assets can play in your portfolio. Guys, anything you could need to know when it comes to alternative assets, this is where you're going to find it.
Yeah, we got a lot of really hot topics going on for this particular expo. If that doesn't sell it, we got Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith.
So Emmett Smith is our celebrity guest speaker. Zach, I don't really know a lot about football, so you want to take this one real fast?
Well, yeah, the greatest Dallas Cowboys running back there is, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and more importantly, Season 3 winner of Dancing with the Stars. No, but guys, he's been a really successful real estate investor after he got out of the NFL, and so we thought, who better to bring onto stage to really educate you guys on everything he's learned over his time investing. So really hope you guys get to come out. He's gonna have a photo op and everything. You get to meet him, so it'll be a lot of fun. Hope you guys come out.
All right. So who's interested in coming to the expo now? Are you excited? Woohoo! So we actually have Zach. You got an iPad right here?
Yes, I do.
We're actually selling tickets right now. So still in early bird pricing. So if you want a ticket tonight, we have a couple of our representatives with iPads. We have some in the back. We have Zach right here. If you are interested in a ticket and just want to go ahead and just kind of purchase that, whether it's general admission or VIP, raise your hand and they'll come around and just like talk to you a little bit while we're doing the deal pitching. But we actually have most people. So we have 175. Yes, we have early bird pricing for general admission and VIP. We also have $30 off codes for everybody. So you get an additional $30 off. If you're a client, you get client 20, gets you 20% off, but we're not doing anything more than that. I've got confirmation from my boss that that's not happening anymore. But, guys, if you have any questions regarding, anything that you see here, that what you could do in a self-directed IRA, we have a lot of IRA specialists here, myself and Zach included, Brianna in the back over there. We're all certified IRA specialists, so if you have any questions after the fact, after the deal pitching, we should be good to go. Do you have a question, ma'am? Oh, you were just raising your hand? Okay. Yeah, Zach got you. So without further ado, oh, here we go. I was wondering where that was. Let's go ahead and get started with deal pitching. So if you have a deal or a service or you're looking for something, go ahead and start lining up here and one at a time. Again, keeping in being considerate with the other people in the room because we are approaching 8:30. I know people want to leave, but we're still having fun here, right? So if you want to go ahead and start lining up here, take about 30 seconds to a minute, and then we'll move on to the next one. And then if you find anything you like, we'll talk after the deal pitching. All right, first person.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Juan Cuevas. I recognize some faces in the room. I was with Marcus and Millichap for 11 years. I sold apartment buildings for 14 years. And I've started a new company called Uncontained Living, and I build container homes. Whether it be, I have a project I'm actually looking for funding on. I made Marcus and Millichap, I can't get it out of me. I always got to have a fancy book. Because if you know M&M listings, they always have a fancy book. So this is for it's almost kind of like an RV that will go in a really neat RV park in Manville that was a previous sand quarry. And then they hit about 100 feet and the whole thing filled up with crystal clear water. You can see clear to the bottom. And the numbers look superb, even though all the comps from the Air DNA reports are inferior to what I'm going to build. So I'm looking for funding on that, around 12%. I can pay some points on it. And then I am always actively looking for funding for my clients who want to buy container homes from me. That would be fee simple property, because that's the one caveat with this one is it is on wheels and doesn't include the land, but I know that, and that's why the interest rate I'm offering on it is as rich as it is. So if you have any questions, please see me after.
Thank you, Juan. All right, next one.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Slaughter, and I basically show people how to be the bank. So that's with notes. A few people talked about that earlier, either buying them or selling them. If you're a landlord, we teach you how to set up owner financing with good paper so that you can package that and actually sell it to a bank. The company I work with, Colonial Funds, have been around for 20 years. You may have heard one of their partners, Eddie Speed. He's actually one of the speakers that's going to be at the expo. So we've been around for a while, really solid company, and it's a good alternative for your portfolio to offer some nice cash flow without the fluctuation of the stock market. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. All right, next one, Erica.
Hi, my name is Erica. I'm actually here from San Antonio, Texas. Bexar County actually was the highest appreciated market this past year over Houston, over Austin, as well as Dallas. And I have a few limited partner shares at $15,000 up to 5% of a blue-collar apartment complex. And yes, you may or not be able to tell, I have gone through a couple of markets, major market cycle. So if you're interested in that, please find me here on the corner. And again, I'm coming here from San Antonio. For those of you that may have never been, it's a really great market to be in, very stable. We're Military City, USA, as you know. And so we have a very good workforce. It is more of a blue-collar city than maybe Houston is, but it's an opportunity to diversify your portfolio if you have one. So thank you.
Thank you, Erica. We actually we get a lot of people in San Antonio, actually, and we're doing a San Antonio happy hour, I think in August or something like that. So if you're in the San Antonio area, check us out. All right, next one, Joe.
Hello, thank you. You have him too? This guy.
Who's are older?
I copied him. I'm always the follower. No, hello, my name is Joe, and it's funny that Tom earlier talked about a recession-proof business. What's like the most recession-proof business? Anybody know? There it is. And we didn't even set that up. I don't even know him. By the way, you're like the smartest guy in the room. You kept having all the answers with Tom. That was awesome. I was like, I need to meet this guy. So alcohol. Now, if times are great, you're spending money on food and alcohol. When times are bad, you need a drink. So quick story time. About 15 years ago, this gentleman, Andrew Thomas, came to me, and he said, I've got a great business. Come invest with me. Come join me. Let's do it together. I didn't do it. Millions of dollars and 9 restaurants later, I was like, my loss. But then he decided to take that money and go all in on Marky Mark and the whole funky bunch. Mark Wahlberg, Wahlburgers, he was going to open Wahlburgers all over the central part of the U.S. Then what happened? COVID. So that kind of screwed up that whole plan. Then the franchise came to him and said, hey, we want you back in. We want you to do it. So he's about to do it all over again, and we're looking to raise money for it. The restaurant is Twin Peaks. A lot of you have probably seen it around town. He opened 9 Twin Peaks in Houston and a couple other cities around this area, and they were really, as you can see, they're still open. They're still doing great. They're still killing it. They're still doing really, really well. And yeah, we're looking for investors. This one is going to be in Tampa, Florida. So they called Andrew up and they said, I was trying to pitch Andrew on a different restaurant idea that had Italian food. I'm very Italian. My last name is Paisano. But he goes, Joe, we're scrapping that because Twin Peaks wants me to take over this section of Florida. So we're really excited about it. It's moving forward. We're looking at locations right now. And yeah, again, we're looking for investors for that. Do you want to mention anything?
We're looking at a 3-store subscription initially. May go more, but we're looking at Tampa. We're looking at North Orlando and Pensacola, Florida right now. And the big one would be the coup d'etat, was that right? Is maybe doing Twin Peaks, Honolulu. That would be really fun. So that's what we're looking at.
He's done it. We're lucky to have him. He knows everything about the business, so I'm really excited to be partnering with him and venturing off to Tampa, Florida, at least for the first one. Thank you so much. Reach out to us. I can give you a card, and we can talk later. Thanks.
Do you have a question? No? You good? Okay. All right. Jeff?
My name's Jeff Williams. I'm with Streamline Funding. We're out of Austin. Hard money lender, been in business for over 20 years. And one of the things that distinguishes us a little bit is we do a lot of construction loans. So that mid price point, 450 to 550, that Tom mentioned a minute ago, we do a lot of that, as well as small to medium-sized multifamily. So if we can be a resource for you with that, that'd be awesome. And I actually live in Schertz, Texas, and they are opening a Twin Peaks less than 2 miles from my house. So I'm looking forward to the 32-degree beer there, or the 29-degree beer. Awesome. Anyway, thank you for the invite, and let me know if I can help you.
All right, perfect. Anybody else pitch a deal or service? Nah? All right. Well, guys, you know to come to the next one, July 26th, all about deal pitching. Don't forget to come to the expo. If you have not purchased your expo ticket yet, raise your hand. One of our iPad representatives will come to you with a discount code on top of your early bird. If you have any IRA-related questions, I will be in the front and then also in the lobby. Other than that, y'all have a great night, and I will see you next month.